have an absolutely special guest for our Faces Presents, and it's Tamlyn Tomita. I know that you are going to be in for a very special treat today. Okay? All right. So remember, boys and girls, definitely make sure that you ask questions in either the chat box or the Q&A. And of course, always keep things respectful, okay? All right.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy, Ms. Wendy to you kids, and I'm a parent at Castelar. Before we begin, we want to acknowledge the Tongva people, who were the original inhabitants of the land where Los Angeles and our school Castelar is located. We honor the Tongva and all Indigenous people, past, present, and future. We also honor the contributions of Black people and recognize that our country was built upon the labor of enslaved people. Next month is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and we not only recognize their contributions to the history, culture, and achievements of the United States. We encourage all of you to continue learning about underrepresented people groups in our country and around the world. Welcome to our latest Faces Presents, where we try to introduce you to people who are doing inspiring things with their lives and careers. Today, we bring you actor and advocate Tamlyn Tomita. But before we begin, we have a few words from Ms. Mai, the president of FACES, Friends and Alumni of Castelar Elementary.
Hi, everyone. As you know, Faces of Castelar has really expanded this year. You know, we were founded in 2013 so that we could support the Education Through Music program. And we're still fundraising for that. And also happy to be here with you, Tamlyn, today, having you share your thoughts with all of us. We're so honored for your time.
Since making her big screen debut in The Karate Kid 2, Tamlyn Tomita has starred in The Joy Luck Club and The Day After Tomorrow, and had reoccurring roles on TV shows like Heroes, The Good Doctor, and Star Trek Picard. Recently, she reprised the character of Kumiko from the Karate Kid sequel in the hit TV series Cobra Kai, when she narrated episodes of Renee Tajima Peña's acclaimed documentary series for PBS Asian Americans, which was a perfect opportunity for her to share her activist and advocate side, which is how we actually know her.
Hi, Tamlyn.
Hi, hello everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for having me here at Castelar Elementary's Faces program. It's a delight to be able to spend this Friday afternoon with you, and I'm just open to answering any questions because it's all about sharing information, sharing our story, sharing who we are, and that there's no stupid questions. You know, there absolutely, I don't believe there are any stupid questions. There are just mean questions, but I know that, you know, the kids here and the parents and the supporters of Castelar are all great people. So I really look forward to the conversations, the talk, or the chit chat we're going to have together. So thank you so much for having me.
I feel like you were looking in my direction when you were talking about mean questions.
No such thing. No such thing. It's again, how are we supposed to learn? And how are we supposed to learn without, you know, if we make mistakes or something, it's like, yep, I'm sorry, let's move on. It's like, yep, I'm sorry I caused the pain and hurt. It's like, let's move on. And it's, again, that's what a part of learning is, and succeeding together. It's just like acknowledging that we're all not perfect, and it's okay to link arms and hands together. So thank you.
In that spirit of imperfection, let's begin Q&A. Perfect note.
Go.
So Tamlyn, you were discovered during Nisei Week, I believe, when you were a student at UCLA.
The greatest school in the world.
Wendy and I went there too.
So did Principal Lou.
It's true. and I remember that you know, Nisei Week was a really big deal in J-Town. But did you take part in a lot of that stuff when you were a kid, like cultural things? Were you brought up taking part in that?
Well, that's the interesting thing, because growing up in the San Fernando Valley in Granada Hills, but I actually grew up in Pacoima. There's a very strong Japanese American community up there. Farmer families. I come from a farmer's family, and my church, the San Fernando Holiness Church, is in the middle of the San Fernando Japanese American Community Center, which is right next door to the San Fernando Buddhist Temple. So that Japanese American community had a triangular kind of configuration. And so we all knew each other growing up. And there were Obon festivals. There were the summer festivals that I get to see the Martin and Wendy and Eloise and all our friends at, dancing in circles during the summertime at Japanese Buddhist temples. And so that was mainly the culture, the Japanese cultural experience. And growing up Christian, it's knowing that it was a Buddhist temple summer celebration. But was most important were that we were Americans of Japanese descent that shared in this really cool communal activity where we dance in circles and eat Japanese food like sushi or ramen and shaved ice cones. Those are the memories I have of growing up. What I remember being Eloise's age. So Nisei Week was a part of that Japanese festival. It's held down in Little Tokyo, not too far away from Castelar. And so when I was asked to participate, it felt like home to me. But I feel like it's not just specifically Japanese American, it's a real LA kind of tradition. So if you're lucky enough to live in LA and be here in the summertime, everyone can partake in that Japanese American festival.
And the Okinawan donuts.
And the Okinawa, shh, don't tell our secrets. No, just kidding. You know what? That's a real big thing because Okinawan donuts are a different kind of donut from the donuts that we're used to here in the States. They're, oh my God, that's what I miss. What I missed about pandemic. We weren't able to do the summer festivals last year, but looking forward to whenever we can all gather again together. Okinawan donuts. If you're lucky enough to just go into just Google Japanese American Obon festivals, OBON, and you'll ultimately be led to a website where it lists by calendar all the weekend festivals, and Okinawan donuts you'll see at every single one. And it's a prideful thing. It's like, who makes the best Okinawan donuts? San Fernando, Orange County, East San Gabriel Valley, so it's a fun little competition. So Okinawan donuts is a real big thing.
So now, speaking of the Obon Festival, we have a question from a first grader.
Oh.
Hi, Tamlyn Tomita. I'm Noelle, and how hard was it for you to learn how to do all the Obon dances?
Thank you for your question, Noelle. It's not hard at all. And the most important thing about learning Obon dances is you just do it. You just do it. You go into the circle, you join, and you're usually following somebody who might know the dance, but you're looking at all the other participants in the circle, and you just follow along. You just listen to the music, listen to the beats, and you just follow the arm movements. So it's pretty easy. They're repetitive steps, and it's just so fun watching other people interpret the dance in their own way because they might add a ba-bump, 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 ba-bump. Instead of like the pretty traditional way, they do this. They might want. So it's really fun, and I always enjoy leading a little pack of young kids who want to learn dance, especially with their parents too. It's such a joy to be able to dance together and not worry about looking good or looking cool. It's about being in circle together. It's about being in community together. So that's what I really look forward to and miss.
What were you like as an elementary school kid?
I was really shy. I was really quiet. I tried to do my best in getting straight A's. I think that's something that a lot of Asian American kids feel, it's their duty to do. But again, it's about having fun in school. So I was really having fun in terms of playing as many sports as I could. But in terms of schoolwork, it was the homework that I really enjoyed doing, because learning the instruction in class, it seemed to be always fast. But when I got home and I was able to read the book and go, Oh, that's what mitochondria is in science or something like that. Oh, those are what nucleus is. You know, what's the plural of nucleus? Oh, it's nuclei. So that's what I really enjoyed was that homework time. So my if I remember correctly, I would go to school, come home around 2:30, 3 o'clock, somewhere around there, because you're always chit-chatting with your friends. Walk home from school, watch my hour and a half of Three Stooges, Speed Racer, and Kimba. And then around 4:30, 5 o'clock, that's when I would do my homework. So my homework was around 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and then 8 o'clock was dinner. And so that was the compartmentalization is like this time period, because again, its structure is really helpful for me. 8 o'clock to 2:30 was school time. 2:30 to 4:30 was my TV time, and then 4:30 to 7 was usually my homework time. So that's what I really enjoyed. But I was really shy. I had my small group of friends, and we always hung out together, and we just played out. You know, we played sports together. There was a game called Sacco or dodgeball, and we were really great at it. The girl team. We would always beat the boys. We would always beat the boys.
I remember Speed Racer and Kimba on Channel 52.
Right?
That was like really early roots of Asian American pride, right?
Exactly, right? And then Robotech on Sunday nights at like 6 or 6:30. Again, this was, the start of Asian American pride. It was like, oh, that's a Japanese cartoon. It's like, yay! Asian American cartoon, yay! So it was that start of really understanding that the world is bigger than what we know.
Even watching like Kamen Rider on Channel 22,
Yes.
even though it's in Japanese, right? Like those are the roots of Giant Robot Magazine later. Watching all that stuff and knowing that Asian popular culture was so much cooler than the regular popular culture here.
Well, and it was another world away. And then it was because for those of us who are lucky enough, because I know Eloise is lucky to know a second language and know that you have a second world that's open to you. And if you happen to speak English with an accent, it's because you know another language. So that's your code. That's your secret key to another world. And don't let anybody make fun of you because you happen to speak 2 languages or 3 languages or 4 languages, because your worlds expand. Your worlds expand, and the access to the people who have that language as their first language is a generational threading through. That's the kind of connections you're able to make with your parents, with your grandparents who happen to come to America with their mother tongue. So that's the joy about being prideful in where we come from. If it's an Asian American Pacific Islander heritage, if it's an African American from Africa, from South America, from Southeast Asia, from all the other European countries, it's about the connections to other parts of the world that we might not know of.
Well, thank you for talking about being prideful of our heritage and culture, because I think a lot of times when we see people that look different from us, we don't consider that as an asset sometimes, depending on the situation. So what kind of advice would you give to a person who feels that, maybe they are a little bit different, or they feel a little different, or they look a little different from everybody else? How do you continue to have that pride in yourself, or just to, have the courage, the pride, and also not feel embarrassed that you might be slightly different from everybody that you see around you?
So so growing up again in Granada Hills, so I was one of maybe 4 or 5 Asian American families. And so I would absolutely felt that, oh my God, I don't look like my blonde, blue-eyed girlfriends. It's like, I wish I looked like her, or I wish I looked like them. But my dad took me aside and he said, it's always is because he's been gone for so long, but I just miss him. I still feel like a little girl still sometimes, and I miss my father. But my father always says, realize that you are special, but it's also upon you to develop the eyes to see the specialness in every single one of us. that's your job as a human being, because every one of us are human beings. We all bleed, we all have skin and bone and a heart beating inside. But what makes us special is what we think of ourselves. It's like, if I recognize the way I look, I'm Japanese, Okinawan, Filipina. What does that mean? It's like, well, I think I'm only going to take the good parts, but I have to learn about any of the distasteful parts, about our histories, and just know that here in America, that we are able to know all our histories and that we're able to live alongside with each other, and know that the food may be different, the food may be strange, but be daring enough to explore what it's like to be from somewhere else, to understand a person from someplace else, and to understand that even though we're all special, we're all the same. It's those two sides of the same coin, that we're all human beings. But then if we are lucky enough to say, I'm Chinese, I'm Spanish, I'm Ecuadorian, I'm Slovakian. This is the kind of deliciousness, this is the kind of flavors, these are the kinds of seasonings that we all look forward to trying out and exploring and saying, hey, I know that. I have connections with that. I have good memories with that. I have the ability to see where their histories, their stories are coming from. And what more important friendship is there, friendship tool is there, is to then being able to see each other for the special, unique person you are, while realizing that we're all brothers and sisters in truth.
And you're making us hungry while you're talking about
I know, it's like, again, it's because that's usually our first foray, into, it's like, hey, what did you bring to school? I brought musubi. What are those? Rice balls. It's like, what are rice? Ew, what's that black stuff? It's like seaweed. Those are things that I remember. But again, and now we're here in 2021. It's like people eat seaweed, the nori, as snacks. It's like kids who are not Asian at all go, I love nori. And they tear up the package and they just stuff it all in their mouth, and their teeth become black. I go, that's what I used to do. And again, that's the connection, right? It's the fun. It's the fun about eating all these weird foods and saying, oh my God, but this is kind of delicious. I really like that. And again, you're going to continue growing up and saying that you're here now at 10 years old. What's going to happen when you're 15 years old? What's going to happen when you're 20 years old? Your tastes will change. Your world will shift. You will continue to grow and evolve. So that's so much to look forward to. You kids have the world to discover and the world to make for the rest of us. And I so look forward to kids like Eloise and all your schoolmates to see the world and the future that you're going to build for the rest of us, because you have the tools, you have our knowledge, you have your Gongong's experience, you have your Ama's knowledge, and her smarts and her courage. You guys have the future, and we look forward to what you're going to build for all of us.
Hey, can you tell us, okay, so it's my impression that you didn't really choose to be an actor. It's more like acting chose you. Was it hard to make that decision, to embrace that, that direction, that path? Was that a hard decision to make? And how did you go about that?
Well, the truth of it, long story short, because I want to answer all the questions here, is that acting is telling stories. And what I wanted to be was a history teacher. I wanted to tell the histories of what it means to be here in America. And what I'm finding out through acting is that I get to tell stories. I have that responsibility to be given a character and how that character fits in a story. If she's a good guy, if she's a bad guy, if she's a daughter, if she's a mother, if she's a best friend, if she's the hero, if she's the villain. That's what my job is. But in being a history teacher and being an actor, in being an actor, you have to do the homework in finding out what the history of that character is. So if I was going to play Eloise Wong, I'd want to know what her parents were like. I want to know what kind of school she went into. I want to know what her interests are. I want to know what she's afraid of. I want to know what she champions and what she's willing to fight for. Those are the kinds of questions every actor should ask before she or he enters a story. And so when I was asked to do Karate Kid, and then after that, it was like, oh, it's telling a story. This is telling a history. And so it wasn't that hard of a leap, but then I wasn't able to teach kids like I would in a classroom. That's what I really look forward to, is just like being in a classroom with 30 kids and saying, so this is how America was discovered. In 1692, the Mayflower, da 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 da. But then it was always up to me to try to tell the stories that told truthful stories or meaningful stories, even if they're made up, that entertains people, that makes people feel a little bit more better about our world, about ourselves, about each other when they watch the movie or watch the film or watch the play that I happen to be in.
So now Avaleni has a question for you.
Okie dokie.
Hello, my name's Abaleni. What is the most rewarding thing about being an actress?
The most rewarding thing about being an actress. The most rewarding thing. I guess I always get, truthfully, when you guys put up the screen with the all the projects that I've been involved in, it's like, wow, I've been here a long time, and it's like I guess it's the body of work. I've done this for a long time, and I'm pretty proud of everything that I've done, because I've worked with so many great people. I've told so many stories. So it's the pride in the work that I've been able to do. But personally, it's the friendships that I've made. It's the friendships that I've made because people, first of all, they say, "Oh my God, it's Tamlyn Tomita." But then when I get to hang out with them, we're just regular folks, and I just happen to act as a job. It's not something that I say, "Look, I'm Tamlyn Tomita." But it's the friendships that I made, and I've made some, really meaningful lifelong friendships just on sets that I've worked on. But also I get to meet families and folks who, like Wendy and Martin and Eloise, and now you, Principal Lou, and now you, T. It's like, and all the kids at Castelar. I'm so thankful to be connected with you in this way.
So our actor friend Daniel Wu said that when he started acting, he was excited because it was kind of like having school projects where you work with a whole bunch of friends on a project really closely on doing something together to make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like getting to do that for a living. Where
Yeah, you do. You get to work on a school project, and then, it depends on how long the project is, and it's always, it's you come onto a set and you say hi and you make friends with everybody and you work really hard, and then depending on the project, a week goes by and you have to say goodbye. It's like, oh my God. But then you go, what's your phone number? Or do you have a Facebook page? Or can I get your tweet, your tweet handle? And it's like, yeah. And that's how we make, those connections. The idea of acting in community, especially with AAPIs, with Asian American Pacific Islanders, may be a little stronger, but sometimes when we're aligning ourselves with our African American actors or Latino or white actors and Indigenous and Middle Eastern actors, those are important as well, because we're all sharing stories. We're all finding the differences and the contrasts that make us different. But then once we realize we're all fathers and daughters and mothers and sons, it's like, wow, we're more alike than we thought we were. It's like, yeah, that's the truth of it. And that's the fun about it.
I think you're leading into some questions that Mr. K and Yihao have.
Ms. Tomita, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for being an advocate for the Asian American community. And here's my question. What challenges have you faced in Hollywood as an Asian American woman? And also in particular, regarding the Me Too movement.
Hey, Ms. Tomita, my name is Yihao. Have you ever experienced or Have you ever got hate being an Asian American actress?
Wow, those are two heavy, heavy, heavy questions. Oof. So, being an Asian American woman, and I started in 1985. Um, if you go into the histories of Asian American actors and actresses, you could probably start at the turn of the century. So 1910, 1915, you'll find the Japanese actor Sesu Hayakawa, who was probably the first non-white actor who became a superstar. And you'll find a whole history about what it meant to be a Japanese actor in American movies, silent movies at the turn of the century. And then the first Asian American superstar was from Chinatown, Anna May Wong. So those are the first two Asian actors that we can look forward to in terms of our history from where we belong in Hollywood. So fast forward to 1985, I am in a line of Asian American actors and actresses who really carve the path to better stories of what it means to be Asian in America. So we have the stories of the Chinese and the railroad workers. In the late 1800s into the 1900s, we have Chinese American Exclusion Act, Chinese Exclusion Act. We have Japanese American internment. We have the Filipino laborers movement. So our histories are there, but they're not depicted in Hollywood because they are tough stories to tell. The stories that did sell in 1985 were like girls from Asia who are pretty, who were like dolls, who were like also dragon ladies, the ladies who fought with martial arts, but they were always the villains. So that's what was given to me in 1985. So that's almost 40 years ago. But now in 2021, we get to see stories like Crazy Rich Asians. We get to see the Asian stories in Raya and the Last Dragon. We get to see more fully human characters depicted in 2021. We still have a long way to go, but as long as we're moving forward, I'm satisfied with our communities getting together and asking, crying, demanding, and protesting for better representation. So this is what we're here in 2021. We're seeing all the voices of our communities saying, we want more, we want better. We want to see all our stories presented. And it's not just APIs, Black stories, Brown stories, Indigenous stories. It's like, let's tell all the stories. The Me Too movement is a little sensitive for me because, again, it's about the power, the empowerment of women to make sure that we have a voice to say that something is wrong and to say, stop in the workplace, but also to report it to people who can do something about it. And even if those people can't do something about it, you have practiced saying, stop. That's important to me. It's the power that you feel in yourself as a woman. And even when it's stepping outside today during all this discussion about anti-Asian racism that's going on now, I need for every young woman and every young boy, or every young man, sorry, to feel that they have the power to say, stop, and feel that power in your voice, because each of us, every single one of us happen to have it. We don't have to talk to anybody. We don't have to know how to fight anybody. We just have to know how to feel the power in ourselves to say, stop! That's enough. That's enough to feel your power and to stand your ground. The other thing that I wanted to, the young boys question, is about, it's about the kinds of roles that are out there, and it's about support. If you see something that you didn't like me in, if you see a story or film or a TV project that you don't like my depiction of it, call me out on it. Call the other actors out on it and say, we want better stories. Yeah, it's fine that I play a bad guy, but as long as I get to play the good guy as well sometimes, that's fair, that's equitable, that's honest. Because why do all the white people get to play all the heroes all the time? I want the Asian people to play the heroes some of the time. I want the Black people to say play the, because we can be all of them. So let's see that kind of truthful, authentic storytelling where it's everybody can get to play anyone.
Also, back to when you were saying that everyone has to learn how to say stop. Also, all the people who might not be boys or girls too.
Yes, absolutely. And I absolutely thank you for correcting me. And that's calling me out and said, yes, I apologize. Everybody, not just boys and girls, it's everyone across all the lines.
So now we have some more questions from some of my classmates.
Thank you.
Hello, hi, my name is Tammy. Hello, Tamlyn. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name.
Hi, my name is Audrey, and I'm a 7th grader at Castelar Elementary School.
Since you're an actress, I was wondering which character/role from any movie are you most alike? Has anything in the Hollywood act was based on real life, such as people, names, etc.?
Has any role you played before ever inspired you as an actress? Bye.
Have a great day.
Oh, that's so sweet. And her name was Tammy. I had to go, oh my God, that's what my short name is Tammy, Tam. Well, the truth of it is that I think there's a little bit of me in everything that I've done because of course I'm going to play me, and I just have to, that's the fun about being an actor. It's like, what kind of clothes would she wear? What kind of walk would she have? What kind of makeup would she wear? What kind of hair would she wear? How would she talk? Would she talk like this? Would she talk with an accent? Would she be able to speak English correctly? Or would she be very careful and say, hey, yo, what's the matter, yo? It's like, the whole idea of language is so fun. So I think with every single character, because I didn't go to school to act, so I have to kind of make everything up, but I have to make everything up so it's true to me. That if I walk into a store that I can play Kumiko and have people believe that that's who I am. So that's the kind of homework that I do in terms of acting. Anytime I have a job where I tell the true story, when it's a true story, that's a big responsibility. When I did the voiceover for Asian Americans, the PBS documentary series, there's a lot of history there that I learned in school, but when I see the pictures and I have the responsibility for telling the story, I always have to be mindful to not feel the story. And my husband just came home. Hi, Daniel. So it's always the responsibility of just telling the story and not feeling the story, because my responsibility is making sure that the audience feels the story. The third question, and go ahead. Sorry, Martin.
Oh no, go. The third one was about characters based on real life, right?
Characters based on real, yeah. So the first question and the third question were kind of similar. So the third question based on real life.
Wasn't there a 442 movie you were in?
Yes, but she wasn't a true to life character, but it's about a historical event. So I knew that I had to wear the clothes from 1941, and there's a particular way that clothes fit. I'm sure that every one of us, men and women and non-binary people, have a certain feel when they put on a t-shirt versus a sweater. In a sweater, you feel a little cozy, right? So maybe your shoulders feel a little about like this. But when you're wearing a t-shirt, you're kind of hot and you're always going like this, right? Because it's short sleeve and it's loosey-goosey. But then when you're wearing a bikini as a woman or someone who identifies as, you kind of maybe be shy about your top part, but then you want to feel the sun, you want to feel the heat of the sun. So you hold your body differently. So that's what it means to be a character of true life. You have to fit the clothes of the character. And it's not just literally the clothes, but it's the clothes of the story that you're telling. And that takes a little bit of homework. That takes a little bit of interviewing. If you're lucky enough to interview persons who knew the person in real life, that's a real helpful job too. So when I get to play Eloise Wong, I'm going to ask Wendy and Martin, what was Eloise like when she was 16 years old? So that's the kind of work that it takes to be an actor, is to delve into the histories.
I was going to ask more about Asian Americans because that was an amazing project that such a long time coming, right? A project like that, and to be involved with it must have been amazing for you.
It was truly, truly amazing, and I'm really thankful that I got to narrate it and to witness this 5 hour, documentary about the history, about 150 plus years of Asian American history that's been documented. And 5 hours isn't enough. And I just hope it inspires people to really read the books, to Google, to research what it means to be Asian American, to be Asian in America, and know that there's a lot more material out there. And there's so many films, there's so many books, there's so many articles that have been written and that are yet to be written, because I hope that you all might want to write them too.
So this next question is about your political activism. And we tend to bump into you at marches and demonstrations, and you're a California elector. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, especially about being Asian American and being in film and television, there's a responsibility to tell those stories truthfully and authentically. And that leads into activism. Because when I step on a set and I go, why is she wearing a qipao if she's Japanese American? That's what they wear at home, they say. The director will say, or the art director will say, I go, no, I'm Japanese American. I would probably be wearing a t-shirt or a yukata if it was, the Japanese summer kimono, if it was happened to be in summer. So those are, these are the kinds of questions about what it means to be an activist. Those small little things. It's like, if again, I'm lucky enough to know these things. If you're fourth generation, fifth generation, Asian American, you may not know these things, but it might be your responsibility to decide to know these things, because people look at you and go, oh my God, you're Japanese American. Do you like sushi? Do you know the best sushi restaurant in LA? Do you know how to wear a kimono? Do you know how to wear geta? What's nasubi? How do you say this in Japanese? So again, these are the choices each individual has to make. So in terms of being an activist, that's what you get to decide. It's like, am I going to advocate for truthfulness? Am I going to advocate for authenticity? And it's like, yes. And I am a proud Asian American, Japanese American, Okinawan American, Filipino American, American American. In terms of activism, it means to fight for those truths and authenticity. And I said that again, but it's the responsibility can lay on you to do the research, to do the homework, and don't make it such a drag. It's really a joy to be able to connect across generations, across cultures, and across to Hollywood storytellers, and saying, this is the right way to tell the story. And it's a long, hard fight, but boy, it's been worth it. It's been worth it to see the growth of the quality of the storytelling being better told. It's been a joy, and I can't wait to see how we move on forward as to the next stories that Warrior is being picked up for Cinemax. Mortal Kombat's coming out. Oh my God, with another friend of ours. Daniel Day Kim is coming out with Hot Zone, and I believe Anthrax, something. So it's again to see all these stories with people who look like us. If you're Asian American Pacific Islander, it's like, wow, we're finally getting to be told a little bit more truthfully, a little bit more authentically.
I have a follow-up question. So
sure.
What happens when you hear feedback where people say, oh, all the joy and the fun comes out when everybody's just so PC all the time? Like, how would you respond to that?
What's wrong with being PC? What's wrong with saying something a little bit more truer to the fact? Why do we have to continue perpetuating falsehoods and lies about what Asian Americans are supposed to act like, or what Asian Americans are supposed to behave like? It's like, we can act all kinds of different ways like everybody else can. Being PC is about being respectful, about being honest, and about having more truth being spoken out there. So there is an investment in time in unlearning and unlearning that Asian Americans are not just gangsters. They're not just, excuse me for using this term, but it's the term geisha or the term gooks or it's all the derogatory terms that we've been subjugated in saying, oh, she's the Asian girl, so she's got to be the bad guy. It's like, oh my gosh, why can't I be the hero? And that's kind of the PC discussion I want to have. It's like, why can't I? Because it's always been, but we need to widen our world. We need to widen the table to say that being PC means a little bit more truth is being spoken, and you all have to learn how to speak it too.
Thank you for that message. That's really powerful.
Oh, thank you. I worry about, because we try to take care of each other, but we also have to take care of the world too, in knowing that there has been a history that has been ignorant of a lot of the ethnic Americans out there who are lucky enough to say, I identify with being Chinese American, or I identify being Ecuadorian American. Those are the kinds of stories that we want to be able to, because we're America. We are a country of immigrants. We come from everywhere. So let's celebrate that fact that we can all be neighbors and say, hey, let's just celebrate the fact that we're all different and we can all be neighbors together. That's the joy about being here.
And inclusivity requires work, and
Yes.
that's okay. It's
Yes.
good work. It is good work.
It's good and it's fun work. And I think what it is that everybody should be able, and I think the blessing of pandemic is that we were able to have the time. It's not rush. Oh, we got to know this. We just got to watch this program. No, it takes an investment in time, perhaps to read a book, to have a long, continuing discovery in discussing what it means to be anti-racist, to say, oh man, what's going on in Minneapolis right now, in the trial of the, I don't need to say his name, but the whole idea of what it means for Black Lives Matter, what it means to be fighting against anti-Asian racism, to fight for the immigrants who are trying to cross the border because they're trying to make a better life. We're trying to find the humanization for the homeless or the unhoused, the realization that we haven't treated our veterans with that dignity and with that gratitude for serving our country. There are a lot of issues, but as long as we can take care of them and speak with political correctness, it's like, I'm sorry that I did not realize the history of Black people since 1619. This is a history that we all should agree to discover and to explore what it means to ourselves, and not to look at African Americans, to look at our Black brothers and sisters as one swath. They're individuals in a system, in a community that has been trying to be recognized and to be reckoned with, because they have been not seen in the whole picture of what it means to be an American here in America. So there are a lot of discussions, but again, it takes an investment in time. And AAPI history, the month of May is something that we can all take advantage of, but know that it's not just the month of May. Black History Month is not just the month of February. Hispanic Heritage Month is not just the month of September. It goes on throughout the whole year. And as long as we see each other and say, hey, what do you know about this? Or let's go discover that. It's a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong learning experience. And it's a lifelong connection in making these lifelong friendships.
Yeah, I think it's important for the students out there to know that, yeah, they're at school to learn, right? But we grown-ups have to learn and change and grow as well.
Exactly.
Even though, of course, they think that we know everything and we're brilliant and genius. But we're not, not always. And we have a lot of learning to do as well. And sometimes we actually rely on children, to reteach us and to open our eyes to things that we've been doing wrong or whatnot. So
Yeah,
Students
exactly.
out there have more power than we do in a lot of ways.
Exactly. I bet for all the kids who are watching that they know how to use these things a lot better than the adults. And they'll go, oh, mom, oh, dad, you just got to go click, 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 click it, go out to this app and download it and then move it over. And it's like, oh my God, you're speaking too fast, kid. So I enjoy learning because I enjoy teaching kids what I know, but I still, it's again, it's about being connected with the youth. It's being connected with the kids because they know so much more than they think they know until they don't know it until they start teaching it to us. And they go, wow, I have the power to teach too. And of course, every kid has that. Of course, every child has that ability. So learn how to be able to speak to the powers that you have and the powers that you can grow because you all have them. You all have them, guaranteed. I promise you. I promise you, you each have your own power. You have your power to teach. You have your power to pass along the knowledge. You have your power to demonstrate. You have your power to succeed and you have your power to fail, but to lift yourself up and to say, I learned something because I failed at something, because I grew. I fell, but I picked myself up and said, nope, I'm going to keep running.
Wait, I have one question. Wendy mentioned the California elector
Oh, yes.
position. What exactly, and really briefly, what exactly is that?
So, it's a very complicated system that a lot of adults in America don't know, but the electoral college system during the presidential elections take place every 4 years. And what it means is that every representative, the person who represents you in your own district, in your own US congressional district, chooses an elector to cast the vote for the President of the United States. So Judy Chu of Congressional District 34 in Monterey Park asked me to represent her in casting the ballot. I had to drive up to Sacramento, go to the Capitol, all safely, socially distanced, and say, yes, I elect President Joseph Biden for president and Vice President Kamala Harris. And the 55 of us had to do it on January 6th. Well, no, January 20th. I can't remember. It was in January because so many events happened in January. So that was my pride and honor that U.S. Our congresswoman, our congressperson Judy Chu asked me to fulfill that for her for this really historic occasion of bringing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the president and vice president. So it was just driving to Sacramento, five hours there with mask, filling out 6 papers alongside 54 other persons, and they gavelled it and then said, and the California electoral votes are in. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are elected. And it was like, oh my God, this is history in the making.
Wow.
So it was a pretty big deal, but again, it was unreal at the same time. Pretty big deal that was unreal.
Yes.
So now we have a question from Andrea.
Okay, Andrea.
Hello, I'm Andrea. I'm in 7th grade. What do you think we can do to stop hate on AAPI?
Oh, Andrea, just know that there's a lot of hurt people out there. There's a lot of frustrated people out there. And sometimes people want to wield power over another that they think is weak, that they think have no power, because it makes them feel good about themselves. That's a really long answer to a very hard question that you posed. But if anybody experiences hate or witnesses hate, if you feel safe enough, if you feel strong enough to say stop, and I'm not kidding. When you I remember telling my 10-year-old niece when she was about 5 or 6, She was running around the house and screaming like a little girl. That's a game with us. We chase the girls around the house because everybody likes to run around and hide and seek. And she was screaming at the top of her voice. And she was saying to me, "Stop, Auntie Tammy," in this kind of voice. "Stop, Auntie Tammy, stop." And I turned around and said, "You know what? I need you to know your voice." So I took her aside. So I'm going to back up from the computer a little bit. So I need you, and she's about this tall at the time. And I go, "Feel your belly. Feel your belly. Punch your belly. Ow, punch your belly. Ow, punch your belly. Ow." When you hear that ow, when you're hitting your own belly, feel that power and say, "Stop!" Then you'll hear your voice carry across the room. It's not stop, it's not stop, Auntie Tammy, stop. Feel it from your belly. Feel the power. Feel your chi. If you're lucky enough to go into martial arts, you'll feel your chi. So I need every single one of us, not only the children, but the adults too, and especially our grandparents too. If they don't know the power of their voice, learn it because you got it. And learn how to say stop. It's better than a whistle because the whistle is usually in your pocket or in your keychain. If you have that power of your voice, sometimes that power of your voice is enough to stop a person because they go, "Wait a second, you can speak, you can yell, you can fight." That's the power of your voice. So for anyone to, it's a basic lesson, but it's something that's super important to me as a daughter of a police officer, is to be able to say stop, not in the name of the law, but stop because you are a human being and I'm a human being. Let's recognize this together. You're putting on hate and I'm telling you to stop.
So in this time when we're demonstrating for equal rights, the environment, and against racism, what are some things that give you hope?
I'm not kidding. You and your friends here, every single one of you who are interested in hearing me talk, interested in going and attending protests, who are interested in watching the news, who are interested in talking to your parents about what concerns them, about the world they're raising you in, you are the heroes. You are the ones that I look up to. You're the ones I fight for. You're the ones that all of us fight for because we want to raise you in a better world than we were raised in. And that takes all of us. So in terms of equal rights, Eloise and all your teammates, all your other champions, all your other superhero friends, you are our heroes because we know that you carry the power, the energy, the knowledge, the passion forward. You have all of us. When we all pass away, we know that we've invested in all the good intent that we want to pass along into you, and you'll carry it. It's girls and boys and non-binary folks like you who are going to carry this world to a better place, to a much better place. So you are our heroes, and you are the ones who hold my hope, and I know all of our hopes.
That seems like a really good ending. I don't, is there anything else? That's kind of perfect.
Oh, well, thank you, guys. Oh my God. Is it an hour already?
Yeah.
No, the sun is setting. So the sun is setting here. But if there's this conversation doesn't end. If anybody wants to throw something out to me, just throw a tweet at me. The Tamlyn Tomita. I forgot. Or ask Eloise or ask, Principal Lou. It's all an open dialogue. And I'm sure that all the guests that you've had on Faces are always your friends and champions too, because we're not anybody special. We feel special because you asked us to talk to you, but know that we're just your aunties and uncles, your brothers and sisters, if you're the parents, that are in community together. Community. It's COMM, capital U, capital N, capital I, capital T, capital Y. We're in unity together. So that's what I want to just say. Thank you. And we continue on, hopefully to a better future with folks like you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Can't wait to see you at marches and concerts again.
I know, in person with lots of hugs.
Maybe film festivals even. Who knows?
I know. Film festivals. Ooh, I love them. And donuts. Okinawan donuts.
Yeah, on Sawtelle. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Imagine the world.